The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Okay, it's time to be brutally honest about the whole Filip Chytil thing, because I feel as if all we're doing right now is talking about the lack of shots in Vancouver, okay? There's one big thing that's happening that nobody's talking about, okay? It's Filip Chytil. When's he coming back? Could it be like in a couple days or 10 years? Who knows?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into the show, we got to thank you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks, because it is your Canucks every damn day. And we're not here without you tuning in, putting us in your ears. We're also not here without those sponsors, though. And today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off. Wow, your first year. Filip Chytil, the NHL did him dirty. Wow. They did the Canucks dirty. And we want to get into more about what is going to happen with Filip Chytil. Let's dive back a bit into his concussion history for those who don't know, and look at what other NHLers who have had this many concussions, what's happened to them as well. I get into some of Sherwood's comments on the game.
Trevor, I'm scared. Can you just lie to me a bit? Can you be a little faithful that he comes back against the Jets just a bit? Because I'm scared.
Yeah, we'll dive into Chytil. We'll get into some news and notes as well. I want to tell you why Chris Pronger's an idiot. Maybe we'll get to some notes about the Abbotsford Canucks as well.
Okay, you gotta send me a text message. If you're gonna call Chris Pronger an idiot. Okay, Chris Pronger, not gonna lie. Okay, you want to talk about nightmares? Young hockey fan, obviously diehard. Obviously, been watching the Canucks since what? 2002. I think there was one series against St. Louis in that little early love affair with the Canucks, right? And we beat them. But anyways, Chris Pronger was always the scariest player to me to play against. And then the older I got, later towards high school, even like a year or two after high school, I just realized, the more mature version of me I just realized, Chris Pronger might have been the best player in the league during my first 15 years of watching hockey. That's how good he is. That's why he was a nightmare. Oh, yeah, he was a jackass. He was so mean. He would hurt your players. He would do all these things. I'm actually scared of him because of the bully aspect, too. And now you're calling him an idiot when my face is on the show with you. Thanks, Trevor.
That's what happens,
you got a family. You got a brother,
Happy
too,
Monday, buddy.
Unreal, man. You scaring me, man. Philip, okay.
There's reason for it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it on the other side of the show. There's reason for me calling Chris Pronger an idiot, but we'll save that for the second part of the show. The first part is Filip Chytil and the Canucks without Filip Chytil last night. Look, there was a tired team on the second night of back-to-backs. And Kyle, I think one takeaway that I had from watching the game live last night is that even though Canucks don't get a lot of shots on the scoreboard, that's happened night after night after night. One thing I did notice, especially watching them live last night, is that they do control the puck for a lot of the game. And they did that even without Filip Chytil in the lineup as well. And again, Filip Chytil has been, a possession monster of sorts for the Vancouver Canucks. You look at his controlled entries. Filip Chytil is entering the puck with controlled entry more so than any other Canuck on the roster. And he really stands out like a sore thumb among a Canucks team that is really struggling offensively. But now, Filip Chytil is out with a concussion. This is now the fifth concussion of his NHL career, and the uncertainty of him being out is unknown. Is he going to be out just a couple of games, or will he be out for much longer than that? I mean, obviously, when you get to this point of your NHL career and you've had this many concussions, you do start to wonder about the words career ending, and no one wants to say that for Filip Chytil. I mean, for his sake, no one wants to say that. But on the flip side, the reason people toss that around is because other guys have come out and said, I've dealt with post-concussion syndrome for almost 10 years plus after my career. And one example is Adam Deadmarsh, who, if you're the age of me and Kyle, you're older, Adam Deadmarsh from the early 2000s, late 90s. And his career ended in 2002, 2003 because of concussions. He actually worked as a video coach for the Colorado Avalanche. And 10 years later, this is 2012-13, he stepped away from his role as a video coach because he was still dealing with post-concussion syndrome. Look at a guy like Tucker Poolman. You know, his career ended as well due to concussions and the migraines associated with it. You've had numerous players come out after the fact and just say, you know, Dan Carcillo, obviously one of the most vocal ones, saying that life after hockey matters more than what happens on the ice, right? I think Dan Carcillo went as far to say that he would take his name off of both the Stanley Cups if it meant he didn't have to deal with the aftermath of concussions. So this is a serious thing we're talking about. It's not just a sprained ankle or a busted knee or a popliteus. It's not tendonitis here we're talking about. We're talking about the dude's head. And you can see how frustrated Filip Chytil was when he took that hit from Jason Dickinson. And look, Kyle Nash said it after the game on Saturday. You know, maybe part of that was just the fact that there was no call on the ice. But maybe a part of it was that he knows he's potentially walking on thin ice. And again, he's still a young guy in today's NHL, but young guys have retired before from concussions. I think one of the most notable was Connor Crisp. Connor Crisp retired from hockey at the age of 24 due to concussions. Again, he's younger than Kyle and I now. He was only 30. He's only 30 years old now, retired at the age of 24. You look at Eric Lindros. I believe his brother, was it Keith Lindros? He retired after 59 career games because of concussions, right? And when you look at these guys who have had multiple concussions, you know, Carcillo, Nick Boynton, Connor Crisp, Eric Lindros, all at about 7 to 8 concussions. Again, Filip Chytil's now at 5 diagnosed concussions. So he's getting up there. And the NHL, if you are truly going to protect players, you got to suspend guys and make an example out of them when they pull a hit like Jason Dickinson pulled on Filip Chytil. And again, Jason Dickinson had all the time in the world to change course on that hit. It wasn't like Filip Chytil turned into the boards and Jason Dickinson kind of caught him as he was turning in. It wasn't one of those plays. Watch the damn play again. There was about 2 to 3 steamboats. You could count the steamboats that Jason Dickinson had to pull away from that hit on Filip Chytil. And again, by not pulling away on that hit, you could potentially be costing that guy's career. And what does the NHL Department of Player Safety do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I said over the weekend, and I'll say it again now, what Connor Zary pulled on Elias Pettersson, where he got a 2-game suspension, that was less dirty, in my opinion, than the hit that Jason Dickinson laid on Filip Chytil. And, you know, again, for me at this point, it's not just about, oh, the Canucks need this guy, which, you know, look, he's obviously been one of our most noticeable forwards. He hasn't been as impactful of late, especially on the score sheet. He still only has 6 points in 14 games since coming to this team. But it doesn't matter. To me, at this point, the hockey side of things doesn't matter. It's about Filip Chytil, the person. Because, again, you hear all these stories about guys who have dealt with post-concussion syndromes for years after they finish playing. And some guys come back, obviously, like Sidney Crosby clearly missed, you know, almost a full season of his career due to concussions. He came back and he ended up looking like one of the greatest players of all time, which he is. So you can come back from this. I'm not saying Filip Chytil's done. And who knows? I'm still crossing my fingers that he returns this week for your Vancouver Canucks. And the team basically they have one more game at home, the Winnipeg Jets on Tuesday, then they head out for a lengthy road trip. So right now, from the last word of Rick talking, the team is trying to decide if he is going to travel on the trip or not, which makes it sound like he's not in on Tuesday night against the Winnipeg Jets. And you just hope after that the Canucks find a way to get Filip Chytil back in the lineup and healthy. I mean, for his sake, I mean, what an opportunity this has been for Filip Chytil too, to get out of the shadow of some of the other good centers with the New York Rangers, come to the Vancouver Canucks and get into an opportunity where he has a chance to cement himself as a second-line center. And for stretches there, with Pettersson struggling, looking like he was the best center on this team, playing upwards of 20 minutes a night on some occasions. So Filip Chytil's opportunity right now, obviously it cooled off a bit, but it's come to a crashing halt because of the crap that Jason Dickinson pulled and the crap that the NHL pulled by not suspending Jason Dickinson. It was absolutely a play that should have been suspended. And again, Godspeed to Filip Chytil. Hope he gets well soon. Kyle, I don't know if you have anything else you want to say about Filip Chytil before we wrap up here in this segment of Locked On Canucks.
Yeah, sorry I just ditched you for that whole thing. I had the cardiologist call me, man. I still can't go to the gym for another month. He said everything's good, but you gotta wait your proper 3 months. You know? he don't want to lose his job. He's like, yo, wait the 3 months. Don't work out. All in all, though, what are the chances? We're talking about Filip Chytil, right? Like some crazy injuries and the head injuries and it being so sensitive, just like the heart, right? It's like, yo, that just leads me to believe, like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to play tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to play for the next couple of months. I don't know if he's going to play until next year. I don't know ultimately who Filip Chytil is. And of course, like, I just want the best version of him as a person, just moving forward, right? Be that man, be Filip Chytil first, and then the hockey player second. All that being said, this guy's so enthusiastic about the game. He's itching to get back in there ASAP. And again, just to zone in on that thought, like, I don't know who Filip Chytil is as a player. And like, I was excited to see him get more reps, get more of a chance with the Canucks this year because, he's important to like the puzzle the Canucks are trying to build. So in essence, like, this is such a horrible nightmare because it's not a groin injury. It's not another Canucks injury. It's another Canucks injury, but it's also like the worst Canucks injury. It's the guy you traded JT Miller for, who has a history of concussion history, getting a concussion again. It's like so unfair to the individual, but also the player, also the team. I'm sorry, like so the team, and this is the Vancouver Canucks team that always trades their extra first round pick. They get one, they trade it away. They get one, they trade it away. Oh, let's not trade Besser. Let's not trade Suter. We're not getting the draft capital we want, and we want to take a stab at the playoffs. Let's not get that extra draft capital. Boom, bam. The next thing you know, it's like, okay, we may finish the rest of the season without seeing what Filip Chytil may be going into next season, and you don't even have the tools or the assets in your cabinet outside of Lecker, Mackey, and Willander to acquire something this team desperately needs, and that's more top six talent, let alone a second line center, right? It's like, this injury sucks. It sucks, and it actually broke my heart. Like, again, I was at the concert. I was at the Hollywood Theater when I was watching this game, and we're up 6-2, and we played an okay game. We played a shitty goaltender, and like I was still happy we picked up the 2 points. But as soon as Chytil got hurt, like, not to be an asshole, but just felt like a loss, man, because it was a head injury. And Jason Dickinson, man, you suck, man. Straight
Jason
up.
Dickinson does suck. He's a bigger idiot than Chris Pronger. I'll say that right now.
Trevor.
And let's talk about Chris Pronger on the other side here on Locked On Canucks, and send out your good vibes for Filip Chytil. I mean, again, Rick Talk and the coaching staff said that 48 hours they would decide, and this was yesterday, if Filip Chytil was going to go on the road or not. Makes it sound like he's not going to play Tuesday, but let's hope. Send out those good vibes for Filip Chytil. Kyle, let's do this right here before we get to break. Do it for Filip Chytil. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back on the other side after showing at our friends over at Factor and wonderful Pistachios. All right, our friends over at Factor. Okay, they're trying to help me get my 8-pack back. Just kidding. I never had an 8-pack, man, but I am trying to keep the dad bod off. And, eating healthy, it seems complicated for a guy like me. A couple young kids, boom, bam, life is busy. But with Factor, it's not complicated because you get chef-made, dietitian-approved meals that are ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. So you can fuel your body without the hassle of cooking. Factor meals arrive fresh, never frozen, with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences each week. You can customize your menu to fit your goals, whether that's Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. And Factor, they keep me on track with healthy and delicious meals without the time-consuming prep. It gives me more time to sit back, relax, and scratch my sack, baby. Let's go. Make sure you eat smart with Factor, just like me, just like Flex Bowen over there. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code factorpodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast. Get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Oh yeah, baby. And when you're talking about eating healthy, you gotta include some wonderful pistachios in the diet, okay? Because nothing's healthier than shoving a handful of nuts in your mouth. Let's go. And let's shove those nuts in your mouth when they're delicious and nutritious. And that's what wonderful pistachios are, baby. Wonderful pistachios, they're one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you feeling fuller for longer. The no shells variety is my favorite kind of wonderful pistachio because I don't like the teas. I just want to pop those naked nuts right in my mouth, baby. Kyle's more of a tease guy, so he prefers the classic in-shell favorites. Okay?
I like to crack the nut before the nut goes in the mouth. It's a little technique I learned. Karma Sutra. I mean, just dietitianary requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
More about Karma Sutra on the other side, man. Maybe
No. Let's keep it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, but TBD, man.
Yeah.
I do know that getting snacking and cracking on wonderful pistachios is gonna put you in a good spot, baby. Okay, it's gonna make you feel good. So make sure you get snacking and cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. We back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name's Kyle Bound. That's the second best dad in the world. And you are, producing the show by giving us some comments. Okay, let's get into them here on Locked On Canucks. Elston saying we are cheering for Aquilini's bank account at this point, gamers. Which Cethos replies, Aquilini's bank account and the team's improved culture aren't mutually exclusive. No point in cheering for losing at this point of the year. It doesn't improve the team's future at all unless you're in that camp that wants to see Rick Tocchet replaced. So again, second segment has to start with, you're going to talk about Chris Pronger being an idiot. And again, you can cheer the way you want to cheer. I just think at this point, when there's only a handful of games left in the season and the team is, they got like a 49% chance of making the playoffs. Like, knowing where we were 2 years ago, dude, just enjoy the games, Like, hope that the team wins. And you're not cheering for Aquilini's bank account. You're just cheering for, I don't know, more barbecues with your friends during, like, the playoffs, Even if it's only, like, 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, in my opinion. Because at this point, you're, like, we're making the playoffs or we're drafting what? What would it be, like, 15, 16, 17, 18? Like, it's all the same in a week draft. Like, make the playoffs and cheer for the wins. Let's go.
Cheer for the wins. That's exactly what you got to do, baby. And I'm cheering for Quinn Hughes to prove Chris Pronger wrong, man. Chris Pronger, exactly, man. There we go. The Freudian slip. It makes sense. So for those who missed it, Chris Pronger just said this morning, and basically he replied to a tweet that said, "Hey Chris, do you agree with this?" And that was someone tweeting about Hughes being better than Makar. And Chris Pronger goes on to say, "Do I agree that Hughes is better than Makar? Absolutely not. I think Quinn Hughes is taking his game to a whole new level, but there are things that Makar can do that Hughes just cannot, like play with the physical edge, etc. And defensively, they do not compare. Both dynamic offensively, though." And that just screams old white guy doesn't really watch the games and just tracks the physicality.
He lives in the Central. He lives in the Central, right? So he's watching the Colorado games. It doesn't affect his sleep too much, but staying up for an extra 2 to 3 hours to watch the Canucks or 2 to 5 hours, it's just, not going to happen with him. So, because, like, again, sorry to cut you off, but you're going to go off on it, right? Like, saying that Cale Makar's that much better than Quinn Hughes defensively, when for the better part of 2 full seasons, Quinn Hughes has been way better defensively than Cale Makar, is it's stupid. And I know Cale Makar won a Conn Smythe, and he's incredible. He's actually really, really good. In fact, I'm in the boat where it's like, damn, I thought it was mission impossible for anyone else to compare to the next Bob Orr, aka Cale Makar. But Quinn Hughes is his last 2 seasons have been so elite. And he's still, how old is Quinn Hughes? Is he 25?
Yeah, he's 25. He will be, he will be 26 at the beginning of next season. Is October.
You know what I'm saying? This guy's going to get even better. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, when Quinn Hughes was like 24 to like 29 years old, he put in like 6 of some of the best defensive, some of the best years for a defenseman in NHL history. Like, I'm so convinced of that. So at the end of the day, like, I'm happy that Quinn Hughes is just a part of the conversation, just because, like, I didn't know he was going to get there. But man, over the last 2 years, it's just simple. And Quinn Hughes, like, I was watching that yesterday, Trevor. He's just so good defensively, man. He's so good defensively. Like 99.8% of the time, he's doing the right thing with the stick. And he's good, man.
Yeah, and Makar is great too, but come on, Canuck fans know that. But this idea that Quinn Hughes is not great defensively and that Cale Makar is far superior to Quinn Hughes is for guys that don't watch the Canucks play. And look, I get it, Kyle. Like you said, a lot of East Coast bias out there. Chris Pronger may as well be an East Coast boy at this point. But yeah, maybe he's not staying up to watch the Canucks late. And in fairness, they're not an exciting team right now, except for Quinn Hughes. He's the one guy that stands out. But even statistically, we talked about it before on this show, but I'll bring it up again. This season, Quinn Hughes, in terms of expected goals against, in terms of shots against at even strength, a better player than Cale Makar. And he does it with whoever he plays with, whoever he's on the ice with, whereas Cale Makar, his stats definitely take a dip when he's not on the ice with Nathan MacKinnon, who, again, already has 100 points this season, where no Canuck forward has even 50 points. Like, we're not even talking about the same kind of team here. I mean, the supporting cast that Quinn Hughes has is so inferior to what Cale Makar has in Colorado. Quinn Hughes deserves some credit for that. But and the physicality thing too, like that was probably one of the funniest parts of his comment there too. I mean, last season, Quinn Hughes had 8 fewer hits than Cale Makar. This season, wow. Quinn Hughes actually only has 9 hits in total, whereas Cale's up to 45. But obviously, Quinn Hughes is playing. Now, the physicality is even a big part of his game, but I think he's being a little bit more tentative out there because of all the injuries he's dealing with too. So, look, Cale Makar is a great player. We all know that. I've said it time and time again that these are the 2 best defensemen in the NHL. But to say that they don't compare and that Cale Makar is absolutely not, or that Quinn Hughes absolutely is not better than Cale Makar is just ludicrous, man. Get out of here with those takes.
Yeah. Come on. Chris Paul, you got to know better, man. Even though you're one of the best defensemen ever, just one of the best players ever. Yeah. The disrespect on Quinn Hughes, man. I can't believe there's still some of it. But, you know what? We didn't see him at the Four Nations. That was his opportunity to do even more. Because I'm not going to say I feel as if some NHLers across the league think Quinn had an outlier like last season. Sorry for the little tongue twister there. But maybe people thought that was a one-off, right? Oh, he was the best defenseman in the league for 1 year. Like, he's not going to do that again with Cale Makar, blah, blah, blah. But he's done that ASAP. He's gotten better. That's the thing. He's become a better leader too. And I know there's been a lot of turmoil around him. And you can not only make the argument, you could just literally state the facts and say, you know what? Not all was handled well because it blew up. It blew up. But the fact that this guy's ability to keep it together to the media, which is like the easy part, then to like do the hard part, and that's play injured at his level and lead on the ice consistently, being the only player that wants to be a game breaker, shift in and shift out on this team. It's like nothing but respect for that guy, man. He's going to get better and better. And, just to lead into the third segment while we, shut up about Quinn Hughes for a bit. Like, Trevor, do you think he can become a better leader? Like, are you excited to see the future? I can't be the only one thinking that this guy's going to get so much better and like literally transform into like Scott Niedermayer or something. Like, he's going to learn how to, I don't know, be a championship leader. He's been a great leader right now, but I think he learned a lot this season. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And yeah, I'm not sure what exactly that looks like in terms of him becoming a better leader. I think the Scott Niedermayer comparison is fair. But Niedermayer is never the biggest raw guy, and Quinn Hughes won't be the biggest raw guy either. But, I mean, we've seen how dedicated Quinn Hughes is to getting better, and when he focuses on getting better at one thing, he tends to really improve. Like, look at his shooting, for instance. So, I mean, if he focuses on his leadership being better, that's going to be pretty special to watch.
I think we might see him be more raw or whatever that means, just more louder in the room. Because you can kind of see I'm not going to say things have been wearing thin on him, but I think there's an evolution about to happen where he's going to not snap more, but he's going to be more vocal and more constructive and maybe, dare I say, a little bit more angry. Again, people are going to hate this comparison, but I'm pretty sure Connor McDavid was quiet as a captain early on in his captaincy too. And now he's like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's so vocal. He's so vocal, especially when the times matter most. And I feel like we need that from Quinn Hughes. Like for the Canucks to get better with who they have right now, and that includes Filip Chytil and Elias Pettersson. Again, this team doesn't have a lot of draft capital to make a big swing. I'm pretty sure the team's going to look pretty similar going into next year. Like they talk about the stickiness of the room and needing more glue guys, blah, blah, blah. What if they just need a different leader in Quinn Hughes? Like, what if he is the same, but also so much better and actually galvanizes vocally for this team? Again, I'm curious to see his evolution, man, because next year could look different based on that alone.
And whatever that journey is for Quinn Hughes, we're going to cover all that here on Locked On Canucks. Kyle, let's wrap up the show on the other side. Let's get to the GOATs of last week, and including the return of one player who hasn't been on the GOATs of the Week list for a long time. That's coming up on the other side after we shout out our friends over at Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And Monarch Money, it isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and I save more. Boom, bam. Thank you, Monarch Money. You can also take control with your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off of your first year. Wow.
Wow. That's unbelievable, man. Shout out to Mark. People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Canucks. Trevor Beck, second best dad in the world. Kyle Bowen, also joining you. Kyle Bowen, still on the shelf for 1 month before going back to the gym. Okay, good news. All I got was good news. I'm pretty sure the doctor just doesn't want to get in trouble, okay? He just got, just wait it out. All the tests came back. You're looking good. Looking like a 29-year-old Findu, not a 32-year-old Findu, okay? Everything's good. One love to Mother Nature and company. All in all, though, Trevor, I'm about to enter the third month without going to the gym. And again, Filip Chytil, how many concussions does he have? I missed
his fifth.
This is his fifth. So you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. We don't know. I'm not trying to be negative, but it's so fair to say that what type of season, this has been the most fascinating Canucks season, so stressful. And this is unfortunately something that we all have to deal with, more so him, obviously. And it's his fifth concussion. So I just want to prepare Canucks fans. That's another obstacle, man. A big obstacle, not just for this season. That's going into next season too. Holy shit. The season from hell was this season, man.
Hopefully, because it feels like we've said that a few times over the past 10, 11 years about the Vancouver Canucks. But
dude, 6-2 game, Jason Dickinson boards Filip Chytil with 10 minutes left in that game.
Not even.
What the hell's going on? How you can't even make that stuff up, man. You can't even make that stuff up, man. I would have quit this podcast if it was Connor Bedard who did that to Filip Chytil, okay? Anyways, let's get to this comment before we get to ghosts, because I'm pissed now. Okay, look at this comment from Quati, okay? Saying, reminder people, Quinn Hughes did struggle somewhat with the physicality during the playoffs, and that's a lot of truth, okay? It was his first time in the real Rumble, so I wasn't necessarily surprised, but offensively speaking, he wasn't able to instill the instinctual nature needed because he was dealing with injuries. He couldn't tap into that beast. He held it down defensively, but offensively, he couldn't do the most because he just couldn't. He couldn't get past the injuries. But this season, Trevor, why I think, again, he's learned so much is because of what he went through in last year's playoffs, not being able to play through the injuries with that killer instinct. This season, he's done that because he knows how to play through pain. He knows that, and it's just mental stuff. I know your oblique could be hurt or your wrist could be hurt and all this could hurt and blah, blah, blah. And the pain sucks. And I'm pretty sure every time he takes a slap shot, it's killing him. But you just got to do it. That's how you get back to your instincts, right? And Quinn Hughes has learned that. He's so much better because of what happened in last year's playoffs. And again, we didn't expect him to be hurt this many times throughout the regular season, but it's pretty. What's the word? I'm optimistic that in the playoffs this year, the Canucks could win one round because Quinn Hughes, no matter how hurt he is, can still be one of the best players in the league and hold it down defensively. And play 33 minutes a game. Okay, let's do something then. I trust in Quinn Hughes, man.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that more tomorrow because if the Canucks do squeak into the dance, their first round opponent is likely the team we're going to see tomorrow night at Rogers Arena in the Winnipeg Jets. But there's a path for the Canucks to beat the Winnipeg Jets. More on that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Canucks. Again, let's get to the goat of the week, as Kyle mentioned. And you got a guy at the top who hasn't been there in a long, long time. All right, our GOATs of the Week rankings. And for those new to the show, every Monday, sometimes on a Tuesday, but every Monday we rank the players from 1 to 5 in terms of the best 5 Canucks from last week. First place gets 5 points. Fifth place gets 1 point, so on and so forth. And then sometimes we go through the GOAT rankings of the year as well. But in first place this week, I'm hitting the applause button, Max. It's been so long since we've done this. In first place this week, we have Elias Pettersson, and by God, it has been a long, long time since he's been one of the best players for the Canucks in a week. Kyle, so this is week 19 of the season, so this is the 19th iteration of Goat of the Week for this year. Pettersson hasn't even been in the top 5. He hasn't been one of our 5 best players of the week since week 12. And I look back at that week, and basically it was the week where Quinn Hughes was out of the lineup. We lost to the Kraken. We lost to the Flames. It was right after Christmas where we lost a bunch of games. And he had an okay week, but it was a week where not many Canucks were going. So he kind of ended up in 4th because of that. But that was his only appearance on our top 5 Goats of the Week since week 6 of the season. Back in that run that he had when JT Miller was not in the lineup. You're telling me that the guy who's making 11.6 hasn't even been one of the best 5 players on the team in a single week, according to us, 2 idiots with microphones, since the 6th week of the season, aside from one little week 12 blip where the whole team sucked. But again, he's first overall this week with 3 goals, 6 points in 4 games. Both those totals lead the team. And he's starting to look more and more like the player that we used to see. I think even in the game against Utah last night, no Canuck was fantastic. I think there's a lot of tired legs out there. I thought Pettersson and Garland, for that matter, started making mistakes in the 3rd period. But he was still one of the better Canuck forwards that night. And again, it's just been so long since he's been in first place. So shout out to Elias Pettersson for being the number 1 Goat of the Week for the Canucks this week. I'll rip through the rest. Number 2, I have Quinn Hughes. He gets back in the lineup, has 2 goals, 3 points in 3 games. At number 3, Pius Suter also had 2 goals and 3 points in 4 games. But I don't think he gets enough recognition for how good of a penalty killer he is. Like, him and Teddy Bluger have been ace penalty killers for the Vancouver Canucks. Pius Suter was not on the ice for a shorthanded goal against last week. I got to dig in a little bit more into that because it feels like him and Bluger are just never on the ice for a shorthanded goal, which is pretty incredible considering that the first 2 PKers off the boards on a regular basis. Number 4 goes to Filip Chytil, 4 points in 4 games. He held on the 4. We talked about it last week with Hughes out of the lineup and has looked right in place alongside Quinn Hughes in the top pairing. And number 5, Nils Höglander, 3 assists in 4 games. Obviously scored that goal that was didn't count because Elias Pettersson scored 6 seconds before. Interesting thing about Nils Höglander last week, he led all Canuck forwards in even strength ice time per game. Didn't see that coming after maybe a month or so ago, where Nils Höglander was towards the bottom of the list in terms of ice time per game at even strength. So interesting stat there about Nils Höglander.
Holy, dude. I like it, man. I like the energy there, man. Höglander, Pettersson, top to the bottom. Those 2 going to be a duo moving forward, and those 2 got to be big against the Jets somehow, some way. The Canucks got to play the Jets tomorrow, man. Not just play and beat them. Get 2 points. I'm stressed. But can't that be another moment, Trevor? Can it? You beat the Jets. You might play them in a couple of weeks. Like this could be it. Okay, reset the whole playoff race to the playoffs. Okay, you beat the Jets and you beat the Blues, and you watch the Flames lose to the Leafs and the Rangers. That's called optimism, baby. Try it out. And Elson, I know, man. You like to talk a lot of shit, and I like it. He's opinionated. But man, oh man, I got a rebuttal, man. I got a rebuttal here on Locked On Canucks, man. Elson is saying losing is more important, in my opinion. You can't build culture when you don't draft properly. Elson, we're talking about this season, okay? Can you just slow it down, okay? If there was 74 games left in the season, all this bullshit already happened, then I would get it. Okay, I get it. But we're almost done, and we're right in the dance. You know what I'm saying? Stack up some playoff appearances, okay, for Pettersson and Hughes. Anyways, Elson's also saying making it to the show for the experience is pure loser talk. This group ain't winning a cup. I think Quinn Hughes is going to win a cup with the Vancouver Canucks, and he needs this experience, okay? He needs to do it again. He needs to play in the playoffs. It is what it is. Now, Trevor, am I a loser? Am I the biggest loser you've seen in your life? Because I've been talking about this whole playoff experience thing, and now I've been all over the place, but I want, I'm not hung over off that Utah loss. I feel like a winner today. I feel like we're still making the playoffs. Kind of, sort of, not really. I didn't tell that to my dad this morning, but hey, behind the microphone right now, feeling it because I'm all over the place. All that being said, like what should Canucks fans do besides whatever they want?
Yeah, I wouldn't call you the biggest loser. I was thinking it might be Chris Pronger, but it might be me for trash talking the last defenseman to win a Hart Trophy. Speaking of which, maybe that's why Chris Pronger doesn't like Quinn Hughes, because Quinn Hughes maybe could become the first defenseman to win a Hart Trophy over Chris Pronger. But no, I mean, that talk is well about losing to get a high draft pick. Look, the Canucks, even if they like to start to bottom out here, they're going to be the 11th or 12th worst team in the NHL. There's no point in just losing to get a better draft pick at this point. You got to go for it. You got to try to make the playoffs. And it doesn't really matter this group isn't going to win a cup this season. I mean, look, who knows at the end of the day? I think we all know the Canucks aren't winning a cup. But
I think he's saying in general, like they're not going to win the cup with this group anyway. So who cares about the experience that Besser gets? Or
I'll show you. Should lose every single season to start from scratch and rebuild? I mean, look, it hasn't worked with the Buffalo Sabres. It hasn't worked with the Detroit Red Wings. The Ottawa Senators have been out of the playoffs for almost a decade too. I mean, you want that kind of pain? This Canucks team has already missed the playoffs in 7 of the last 10 seasons. Now you want another 7-8 years of pain on top of that?
Hit him in the nuts.
Hit him in the wonderful pistachios. Let's go.
Man, oh man, just win, baby, man. Let's just enjoy it. And I know I know it's all about the Stanley Cup. Trust me. But for a team that never makes the playoffs, what do you mean? We made the playoffs last year, bro. We never make the playoffs. Can we just be real about that? Look at the last 10 years. We still need to have that energy because you need to remain humble. You got to stack up playoff appearances, okay? To make next season better and the season after that better. Come on. Well, let's be real. And I think there's already so many people that have already given up on Quinn Hughes being a Vancouver Canucks super long term. And it's like, dude, he doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to abandon ship 2 years into being an NHL captain. He doesn't strike me as that dude. Like, there's some competitive fire in him, whether it be because he wants to do it for Vancouver or just like he wants to be a dog like that and prove to everyone in the NHL, especially Chris Pronger, that, I'm one of the best 2 players in hockey, 3 players in hockey. You know what I'm saying? So let's slow down the whole Quinn Hughes is gone thing and just he's part of the core. I'm telling you, he wants to make the playoffs and he'll have more faith in this organization moving forward if they made the playoffs this year than not. That's just the truth because he's a competitor. He wants to hear that crowd. He wants a chance. He wants to stack up playoff appearances. Let's not be stupid here, especially if we're still in it, which is a damn miracle because Dakota Joshua, Thatcher Demko, Filip Chytil, JT Miller out for 10 games. JT Miller gets traded. Brock Besser concussion. Brock Besser gone for a couple months doing who knows what. What the hell has Brock Besser been doing? Elise Pettersson was gone for almost 380 days. Quinn Hughes has been missed 14 games, 13 games. Did I mention Demko? Oh, I did.
You didn't mention Filip Hronek.
Filip Hronek missed 2 months. We're still in the playoff fight. Like, I know it's been I'm a big reason why there's a lot of animosity. I've been putting a lot of irrationality / rationality / care / thoughtfulness / bulliness too in the air because the Canucks have been driving me nuts. But we have a couple weeks left in the season, and I don't know. I still feel confident that we're making the playoffs, man.
I'm gonna give the last comment here to Storm C and Kyle. I have tepid optimism about us making the playoffs, but I'm not. Let's say I'm not backing up the Brinks truck and putting all the bets in there. But Storm C is saying this in the comments. I mean, if the Canucks do make the playoffs, it is the NHL. The playoffs are a total wild card. Goalies get hot and teams can bond, and injuries happen. And that's right. It's sports, man. Anything can happen, and that's why you got to believe in the boys in blue and green. That was another episode of Locked On Canucks. If you like the show, make sure you go subscribe and like on YouTube. On the podcast side, go follow us and leave a 5-star review. But for now, we got to get out of here. We'll be back at you tomorrow. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bound, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.